Tribe, how are you? So today I just wanted to talk briefly about how our emotional awareness really does trump thought, in as far as it's like energy doesn't lie, right? So it really is important for us to feel into a situation rather than thinking we know what's going on, thinking that our thoughts and our story about the situation is true rather than like being with our feelings. And this is something I'm more acutely aware of, having released a situation where whilst I was in the situation, I was in a pattern, an unconscious pattern. And now when I look over that pattern, what I realize is that throughout the pattern, I kept denying my emotions. I would deny the fact that I felt incredibly drained whenever I'd engage with this person. I made excuses. So again, I created thought form that created an illusion around the situation and denied my true feeling. So really simply, it was like engaging would almost make me feel sleepy right away, or naturally I just like didn't want to be around them. I just kind of would always want to avoid them, or would try to make things like but then again, upon reflection, when I would end up engaging, I would say stuff that was like making them feel good. I was saying stuff that wasn't quite true to what I truly felt, but kind of, it's like, oh, be nice, and then in the end it doesn't end up nice, because all of that trying to be nice and denying ourselves, denying our true feelings, ends up coming out in some way eventually. It's like usually when we have explosive arguments, or when, just a big happens, that's basically going to help us change course. And also I feel like, even just up until this morning, that a lot of times when we are forcing ourselves to face some of these energies and some of these situations, it's preparing us for the next phase, right? Like just recently, having dealt with a situation or walked away from a situation, and then like just this morning having to deal with a situation where someone was really angry with me, and they were like, I realized like they can be angry, and it's really nice that I was able just to not feel defensive, but just hold space for this kind of angry release, and then eventually it dissolves, and I can apologize and say, yeah, hands up, and then take a deep breath, say the truth, say what the real gooey goodness of the situation, and then laugh it off and I'll be better, right? But if one person is like fixated on their thought being true about something, it can be often really hard to find resolution in those situations, because people are vibrating on a different frequency. And this is something as well. Now, this is discernment, guys, like so much subtlety when it comes to our awareness, but knowing the difference between our judgment and our intuitive knowing, or judgment / resistance versus resonance. It's just energy. It's just energy vibrating with other energies, and you come together with some energies and it vibrates in harmony and excitement and good vibes, and then other energies you come up against and you feel sticky, or you feel low, or you feel drained, or you feel, it's that simple. And we often bounce back. We can bounce back from one to the other, and then eventually just drop it, right? Just, if you don't want to feel drained and don't want to feel bad, then it can be as simple as just stop hanging out with the people that make you feel bad. But then again, sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we don't see that because we're so programmed. It's like, but I couldn't step away from them, or how could I go and be free, or how which is why it's a bit of a process, right? Which is why I'll always encourage you to have that introspection, that inner process for yourself, and at the same time knowing that we have to deal in our relationships, right? And that when our time is done, it's done, and then we keep growing, we keep going through the motions of our lives, right? But I'm just realizing that, in truth, all relationships are works in progress. Some we're with for very brief encounters, some we're with for a little longer, and then some for our entire lives. But I'm really owning the integrity of having difficult conversations, you know, and putting stuff onto one another, and truly being responsible to where our boundaries are, to where, you know, to what our own unique responsibility is. And I feel that often we kind of overextend that to our own detriment. So we're learning how to kind of rein that in a little bit and just be focused on our own world, on our own self, on our own body, on our own mind, really, before we quickly jump to fixing or changing or trying to get something from someone else. Just really work on manifesting your beautiful life. Because suddenly when it just becomes about just feeling a bit better, it feels easier than having to transform your whole life. One day at a time. And I'm learning this. One of my biggest challenges in life is patience. And I'm learning to just be more patient with myself in life and change and manifestation and all of this. It's like there is an ebb and flow. And it's actually much nicer to just rest in peace and ebb and flow with energy rather than be always defending ourselves, you know? And I still feel I'm going to have to meditate today and really clear out this, it's kind of just a kind of energy, but I can clear it out from a place of clarity and integrity and allow whatever was stirred up in me to come up, and also know that, you know, I was able to handle a situation that could have potentially gone really badly, you know, but it's off the back of having situations go really badly, having, you know, endings and beginnings and cycles also ultimately throughout my life. And I'm really having to reflect back to you guys that it is to that extent. I think, I don't know for what reason, but we do hold on to people, probably even more so than some even things, stuff and things, but we kind of hold on, and keep making excuses and think that person's going to change, or this person's going to change, or that person's going to do it like this, or surely they want to change because I want to change, and da-da-da-da. And yet when we're going through these intense cycles, in my experience anyway, it's that it did have to come to that. Like, the actual completion was a person leaving my life. And I never wanted to admit that I would have to. Almost like this thing of like trying to just hold everything all together constantly, rather than the truth of creative manifestation, which is a continual perpetual cycle of destruction and creation, and expansion and contraction. For us to keep growing and expanding outward, there will always have to be things, people, and experiences that we must let go of. We must uncreate them and free them to their own divine source, rather than hold on to our kind of childhood fantasy of what our life looks like, or who's going to be with us our whole lives, or how it's going to look, right? Because more and more so I'm, the surrender, the merging, the letting go is so much about, like, my mental arena really doesn't know. I have visions and insights and imaginations which kind of help me lock into a crystallized feeling of who I am, who I'm becoming continuously, right? And that's I am the chooser of that becoming. It's just the subtlety and the discernment and the getting closer and closer into your source point, where you stay there, and then everything that doesn't align with that or resonate with that naturally falls away. And we don't, half the time it kind of blindsides us. We don't even necessarily see this stuff coming. It just hits us and then done. And I can honestly say, guys, energetically speaking, when certainly people are probably the most powerful things, but when people do exit and they're not meant to be in our world, there might be a release, obviously, but then once that release is done, you will feel lighter. I didn't even realize on a conscious level that certain people were a drain in my life, and again, through miraculous circumstances, there's been an exit strategy, and they've exited my life, and literally within, like, overnight, I have this like intense bliss ecstasy vibration that I'm having to ground with, and I'm having to ground it in. And so I know that there's a higher manifestation coming in, and there is. Again, very quickly, suddenly there's a new uptake of clientele. There's a new uptake, right, of this higher manifestation. My mental mind could not have known consciously that it was this person and this person, right? Because it doesn't look like it, but energetically, it definitely was, because this is what's created the next phase. So it's always in our emotional field, and it's like we keep going around the head, but then it's always back in the emotional body in the present moment. Always in the present moment, how we're feeling. Thoughts are probably spinning out or projecting or blaming or attacking or trying to figure it out or work it out, but really it's there just in the feeling of your space. You can feel someone's energy coming at you. You can feel the presence of someone else's energy field when you're really, really, really tuned in. You can feel the kind of tug and the pull of an energetic exchange when someone's coming at you or trying to hook into you. There's so many subtleties to the way that we're exchanging information with one another, which is really just us being who we are, exchanging the frequencies that we are, and learning from that, expanding from that, contracting from that. Basically just continual self-exploration, infinite, eternal self-exploration. Self is the source of God. We are that source, and we are infinitely exploring it in the depth of darkness and pain to the height of our joy and ecstasy and bliss. So none of us are right or wrong or good or bad, but this thing we call life is dynamic, and it's powerful, and it's conflicted and can be messy and chaotic, and at the same time it is like beyond bliss, beyond joy, beyond anything a lot of our human conditioning ever imagined or taught us that we could be. And now we are stepping into the ownership of those higher vibrational frequencies and seeing potential like never before from our own inner eye, right? That which is connected to the entire universe, opening our heart to make manifest that higher reality for as many people as possible. Tribe, I love you guys so much. I hope you have an awesome day. I'm driving back to Brighton today. Love you loads. Peace out.